Never Stop Learning, week 245. We're going to take a quick look at my linked image trace workflow in Adobe Illustrator CC 2015. All right, so what I'm going to do is focus on the workflow when I'm trying to image trace a linked image, and I'm going to be using Photoshop to help me make some adjustments. The first thing I want to do is bring in my image. So I'm going to hit Command-Shift-P on a Mac, and that's the keyboard shortcut to place an image in Illustrator. Over here, I'm going to find AG Managing Director.PSD. So this is a Photoshop document that I'm bringing into Illustrator. Over here at the bottom, notice I got this box checked for link. That's going to ensure that this is a linked image. If I were to uncheck this, it would bring it in as an embedded image, which means the image would be inside of the Illustrator document. All right, so we want this guy linked, so I'm going to make sure this box is checked. I'm going to hit place, and in newer versions of Illustrator, that's going to load up the cursor. So here what I'm going to do is just click and drag to define what size the image should be, and then release. All right, so this looks great. I'm ready to image trace. Because I have this object selected, over here at the top, I have access to image trace. Clicking on it once is going to run the default image trace for me. Over here at the top, you could bring up your image trace panel by clicking on this icon, or you could go into the window menu, scroll down until you find image trace, and when you click on this, it'll bring up the image trace panel for you. I already have mine up over here on the right. All right, so I'm not going to go through all the different settings in here, but I do want to show you guys threshold. All right, so here it says less and more. So if we go with less, it's like we're having less black in our image. If we go for more, then we're bringing in more black. All right, I'll back off on this. Somewhere around 120 is going to look good for me. All right, now what I want to do is just focus in more on my subject here. I actually want to crop away this whole portion over here on the left. The way I'm going to do that is jump into Photoshop. So I'm going to switch over to Photoshop. In here, I already have that same image open, AG Managing Director.PSD. All right, I'm going to hit the C key on my keyboard, and that's going to bring up the crop tool for me. Oh, one thing I do want you guys to notice, over here in the Layers panel, notice I'm working with a Smart Object. All right, so I'm going to bring this guy in. All right, once I get it set up pretty much how I want it, I'll release, hit return on my keyboard to accept that change. Now, before I go into Illustrator, I have to hit Command S to make sure I save this document. All right, I'm going to switch over to Illustrator. Now, because I did save it, Illustrator wants to know if I should update the image that's inside of Illustrator. I'm going to say yes. All right, so now we're just left with this crop version here. All right, this looks really good. The only thing I'd like to do though is add more detail over here in the sweater. Now there's a couple different ways to do it, but because we're jumping back and forth between Photoshop and Illustrator, I'm going to go back to Photoshop next. All right, so here we are. And again, I'm working with a Smart Object, so I'm going to add one of these layer adjustments. I'm going to go with the Curves adjustment, and that's going to bring out the Properties panel. All right, I'm going to tear this guy out, leave it over here in the upper left. Now I'm going to go through a couple of adjustments pretty quick in here, and I'm not going to go through it in detail because again I'm just focusing on that you could jump between Photoshop and Illustrator and the updates. All right over here I've got this tool. It's the On Image Adjustment tool. Clicking on it's going to activate it, and I'm going to come right in here into this image, click and drag. What I'm trying to do is just brighten up all those tones, and you see it affected over there in the curves graph. All right, so I'm going to release. I kind of made a mess of the image here, but it's going to work out really well for my image trace. Don't forget, you have to save the document first, then jump over to Illustrator. Now, Illustrator is going to ask you if it should update. I'm going to hit yes. All right, now that brings in some really good detail over here in the sweater. But I did lose a lot of the detail over here in my subject's face. So let me switch back over to Photoshop. Now let's tuck away this panel just to give me some more room. All right, now what I'm going to do is play around with this mask over here on this adjustment. All right, currently I have it targeted. You can tell it's targeted because I have this outline. Click on it once. All right, and what I want to do is make a selection of this sweater. I'm going to hit the W key to make a quick selection with the quick selection tool. All right, so I'm just going to click and drag all around here, make sure I got all the sweater. This looks good. And what I'm going to do is fill this area in with black. Notice over in the Tools panel at the bottom, I have a white foreground and a black background. So I'm going to hit Command Delete. That fills this area in with black. Command D is going to deselect. So I basically have the opposite of what I want. I want the adjustment to be only on the sweater, and I want the original image to show through over here. So again, while I have my mask targeted, I'm going to hit Command I to inverse, and there we go, that's what we got. Now again, it doesn't make for a great image in here, but when I hit Command S to save this, and then jump over into Illustrator, I'm going to hit Update, and then I'm going to be left with the result that I actually wanted. I got the detail in the face, and I got the detail going on over in the sweatshirt. I was able to create this with the help of Photoshop and Illustrator together. Now, just to finish this off, I want to show you guys another feature that's over here under Advanced in the Image Trace panel. When you click on Advanced, it's going to expose some more features. The only one I want to show you is this one down here at the bottom, Ignore White. By clicking on that, what we're going to end up with is just black fills, and it's going to ignore all this white. If we had that box unchecked, then we would have white fills. So I'm going to tuck this guy away. Over here at the top, I'm going to hit Expand, and then we're just left with nothing but black fills. I'm going to deselect and reselect. There you go. And there you have it, folks. That's a quick look at my linked image trace workflow in Adobe Illustrator CC 2015.